gas generator, and all the functions seem fine, but I've got this, some sort of a, like a ground loop, ground loop or something. We can talk about it offline later on the texting channel, but I can't, I'm not going to feed it into the KWM2 tonight or anything, which, by the way, is still warming up, so I'm kind of moving all over the place. I do have a counter on it, but at any rate, that's the story. The generator seems to be working, but it is a used one I got from a guy, but it just seems like there's this weird ground loop issue. I don't know if you had to overcome that, or did you use a really quiet 5-volt supply? You might make a comment. And there's a bunch of other people trying to get in, John, so don't spend any time on me. I already blabbed too much. K6KOI in 6AF.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to start taking the early check-ins, but I'm not quite sure I understand what the issue is. I've had no problem with mine. I did make a mistake the other day. I just wasn't watching what I was doing, and instead of driving the SB10 with a sine wave, I used a square wave, which I suspect I might have had a few harmonics. Anyway, I've got K6RCL, I've got KB7LOQ, N6AF, K6RCL. Who else would like to check in to the Vintage Sideband Roundtable? Come down.
K6ZTA.
November 6th, Whiskey Hotel Kilo.
Whiskey 7, Mexico, Sierra.
Okay, I've got K6ZTA and W7MS. Anybody else?
KJ6HN.
KK6IRZ.
And gotcha. Max, anybody else?
KK6IRZ.
KK6IRZ. Don't remember your name.
Name is Jeff over here in Chino.
Okay, Jeff, got you on the list. Anybody else?
November Whiskey 6 Delta, Quebec.
November 6 Whiskey Hotel Kilo. Who else?
Whiskey 6 Delta, Quebec.
And who else?
No, she's not here this evening.
Well, you know, I'm sorry, Dennis, but I automatically put her call sign down when I put yours down. I had to stop my pen in mid-sentence there. Anybody else?
November 4, Delta, Lima, Alpha.
W4DLA, is that right?
November 4, DLA.
Boy, you're very, very light. Can somebody help me out?
November 4 DLA.
Got it. November 4 DLA. And my goodness, it's a big list already. And Robbie's going to have his hands full, so let's add to it. Who else? Nobody?
WA6 Lima Juliet Romeo.
Yeah,
K2RP was in there.
Juliet Romeo.
Yeah, K2RP.
Okay, N6 Lima Juliet Norway, I think, and K2RP. Good evening, Ron. Who else? That is a mouthful. Okay, let's start with DJ and take a transmission and tell us about what's happening in not Goleta, but Goleta.
Oh, hi, John and everybody. K6RCL. Everything's fine in Goleta. That is the proper pronunciation. It's a lumber frigate that came in here back in the 1800s. And that's what this township was named at that time. Anyway, we're doing fine. Band seems pretty good. I mean, the noise is down. Don't have a whole lot of noise here at all. I'm only running 100 pots a hour. That's it. So, anyway, thanks for taking the earlies, John. Hope everything is well with you and family. It's a wonderful time of the year. It's going to cool off. It was a little warm today. We got up to like 74. I mean, that was, people had their air conditioning. Or if they opened up the window and let the breeze from the ocean come in. Anyway, back to you. I don't know who to turn it to next. K6KOI, K6RCL.
Now, your 100 watts are doing really well, DJ. Copy 100%. So conditions are good, and you're right. It's not as noisy as it sometimes can be. So we're doing it right. Let's see if anybody else would like to check in before I turn it over to the next person who is on. So anybody else like to check into the Vintage Sideband Roundtable? Come down.
K7EZ.
K7, I missed it.
NI6Q.
NI6Q, but who else? It was a K7, but I missed the rest of it.
Hi, John. K7EZ.
Boy, I'm sorry. QT?
Echo Zulu.
Oh, okay, got it. You were my noise level, not my noise level, but I'm just not hearing that well. But, okay, I got you, Brian. Anybody else?
K6 little green light. K6LGL.
Anybody else?
K6LGL. K6 little green light.
WA6 Lima Juliet Romeo.
There was WA6LJR also in there.
Yeah, WA6LGR. That dirty rice got caught in my throat.
I hate when that happens. I got the LJR. Anybody else?
You get the LGL?
Yes, I did.
Gracias.
Okay, so let's turn it over to Vaughn. And Vaughn, turn it over to Mike, W6MS. We'll turn it over to Max, KG6HN, back to me. Take it away, Vaughn.
Okay, thank you, John. Yeah, good evening to you and to all that's checked in so far, for sure. K6KY, K6ZTA. Yeah, we're, whoa, wait a minute. Whoops, that needle was getting bent. I was pegging the power meters. Oh, okay. Only thing I've got going here was they had a cleanup on aisle 5. We had an infestation of a huge swarm of bees took over a container that we had here, and we had to get rid of those bees. Boy, oh boy. The guy came and got most of them, but he left a few behind, and I got the rest of them today. So the fellow carried off about 80% of them to be relocated. So we don't want to injure bees. We certainly don't need to have fewer bees. We need more bees. So, okay, let's see. Mike, W7MS, K6ZTA.
Well, thank you much, Vaughn. K6ZTA, W7MS, Mike in Reno. And I guess my question of the evening would be to quote Walter Brennan from a certain famous movie, have you ever been stung by a dead bee? That's my question of the evening. Currently 41 degrees, a really nice winter day in Reno. Quite pleasant, plenty of sunshine. So over to Max for the Desert Report, KJ6HN, W7MS.
All right, KJ6HN here. Nice to hear from you, Mike, up there in Reno, and the others too. And the other, whoops, my foot flipped off the pedal. And the others too. A warming trend in Darwin. It's only 45 degrees Fahrenheit right now. I just checked my weather station. So, but that doesn't mean anything. It's winter time, and we're prepared for much colder weather than that, like 10, 20 degree overnight lows, but we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. Other than that, let's see, I guess back up to K6KOI from KJ6HN in the group.
Okay, well, you're coming in quite well. Both you guys are coming in, all three of you guys, so all is good. Mike, W7MS, what's happening? Are you also getting the nice warm weather up there? I thought I heard Mike. W7MS? Maybe
W7MS, N4DLA relay.
Yeah, go ahead, John. I'm here. Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to take transmission or not.
No, I just stepped out of the room. No, I had my turn and back to net control, W7MS, and hello, Matthew.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Jeff, it's over to you, KK6IRZ, and why don't you turn it back to me, and I'll see if anybody else wants to check in after you turn it back to me. KK6IRZ?
Yep, sorry. Too many dangling wires and stuff here. I'm doing a little bypass. I've been using the ICOM 735 as the VFO for the AM homebrew rig, so I had to do a little bit of bypassing in order to get on. So I'm just going to say hello to everybody. So far, signal's doing very well. And then I'm going to swing it right back over to you. KK6IRZ.
Coming in like gangbusters, Jeff. And real quickly, what AM rig is that?
Oh, I use the 735, Icon 735 from, I guess, the 1980s as the VFO for my homebrew rig, which is a single 5500 modulated by a pair of 813s triode connected.
Oh, wow. Is that on a big rack?
Yep, it's in a big 6-foot rack. I built it, 1991 on the East Coast. It sat dormant in a basement for 20 years, and about 2 months ago I dug it out and shipped it to the West Coast.
Oh, that's cool. It's like bringing an old friend back home. That's great. Okay, let's see if anybody else would like to check into the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, and then we'll turn it over to Phil. So anybody else like to check in? I hear nothing. N6WHK, Cape 1, K6KOI.
K6KOI and 6WHK. Well, I'm going to be running my Swan 350 Delta, and everybody so far is really sounding beautiful. Very, very good copy. Back to net control and 6WHK.
Yeah, the S meter on this KWM2A is a little on the stingy side, but you're way over S9, so good signals. So I'll turn it over to W6DQ, and yes, where's your wife?
Oh, hey, John, K6KOI, W6DQ here. Yeah, she had a rough day today at work, and so she's taking it easy right now. She's relaxing and just trying to rest up. So I got a note from her a little while ago that she wasn't going to join us. She bugged out or requested that she be relieved of being part of this tonight. So I told her that's okay. And we are on a new rig tonight, and I'll talk about that later, but I'm curious if you would give me an audio report on it. It looks okay on the scope, and it looks okay. Well, I am seeing a lot of, I guess I am really overdriving it. I'm seeing some splatter on KFS. So it looks like I am kind of hitting it a little too hard. So let me back off a little bit on the audio and see if that makes any difference. It's not making much difference. I'd be interested in hearing what it sounds like. So, John, back over to you, K6KOI from W6DQ.
Dennis, it sounds fine. I am listening through a Collins, and it's got, a 2.1, I think, mechanical filter. It's a KWM2A, but it sounds good. I don't hear any distortion, and I don't have a scope in line here to check for any splatter. So I hope it's not, because whatever, you know the reason. So before we take the next person, anybody else like to check in? K6KOI.
WA9JIB.
Well, there he is. A little late. WA9JIB. Bob, I got you. Anybody else? Okay, let's turn it over to Matthew. And Matthew, turn it over to K6LJN, and I don't remember his name. And then back to me. So in for DLA, K6KOI.
Okay, K6KOI from N4DLA. Copy any better?
I do copy.
Okay, no, I had the Alice 210X in calibrate instead of in the proper position. So anyway, looking forward to tonight's net. A lot of low fog here this morning. Kind of the wintertime fog came before winter started. So, all right, on to K6LJM and the earlies from N4DLA.
Bill, go ahead. LJR.
K6LJR from N4DLA. Go ahead.
Yeah, WA6LJR.
The WA6LJR.
I'll get it right.
Well, he might be having dinner or something, so let's turn it up to the DX station up here about 5 miles away, K2RP, K6KY.
Okay, very good. Everybody's coming in great. Weather was a little cool today. It only got to 75 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. Just give me an idea, John, if I'm on frequency or not. This was a little difficult to zero beat, but everybody's sounding great. Back to you.
Well, you and I are not on the same frequency, but quite frankly, I'm not quite sure what frequency I'm on. Unlike Chuck, I have not put a frequency counter on this KWM2A. So, but I can tell you it's getting into my computer speakers, which it's not good because my neighbor also has computer speakers, so I'm speaking a little softly. Let's see if anybody else would like to check in to the Vintage Sideband Roundtable. K6KY, come now.
Kilo 6, India, Juliet.
I'm checking in, but I'm not going to be able to stay. This is George, W6YEC.
George, you're very strong. There was also a K6.
K6IJ.
Is that Indiana Jones?
Yes, that's me. Good evening.
Hi, Brian. Good to hear you. Nice, strong signal. George, you must be in a rush for something, so I'm going to just turn it right over to you to take a transmission. Take it away, George.
Yeah, I was just working on the computer here, getting the remote back up and running. I built a new server for it, and so we just got everything working. Anyway, appreciate it. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm going to go in there and get a bite to eat. And maybe if there's still activity going on when I get back in here, I'll check in or something. Thanks for picking me up, John. K6KOI, W6YEC.
Okay, no need to check in. I've got you on the list, and when Rocco arrives, you will be on the list. And if you're here, great. If you're not, well, next week. So let's see. I left off with Ron and Roger, K7EZ. Take it away, K6KOI.
Yeah, good evening, John. K6KOI and the group. This is K7EZ, Roger in Henderson, Nevada. And I'm copying everybody pretty good. I'm just running barefoot on my CS520 tonight. And am I going to be like George? I don't know if I'll be back, but I just wanted to check in and say hello. Conditions sound pretty good there, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, conditions are great. I'm copying everybody, and Matthew was a little light, but I heard what he had to say mostly, and so it's a great evening, no question about it. So let me again drag my feet here a little bit to see if somebody else would like to check in. K6KOI.
N6KN is on frequency.
Sounds good. Would you like the list now?
Oh, let's start it. Go slow. I'm going to try to type it into NetLogger.
Okay, great idea. So it's a long list, and so tell me, are you ready now?
Yeah, go ahead and put yourself in wherever you want to be.
Okay, so the first on the list is KB7LOQ Arts, and next one on the list, I'm not sure how fast you type, is N6AF. Somebody you know, Chuck? I think you know everybody here, actually. Next on the list is K6RCL DJ. And I'm going to pause to see if you got them after I give you K6ZTA on. You got it?
My foot switch doesn't work. I found out when I'm running my headset here. Yeah, got all those. Keep going.
Okay. W7MS, Mike. KG6HN, Max. KK6IRZ, Jeff. And N6WHK, Phil. Pause. Got it?
Who was the last one?
It's N6WHK, Phil.
Okay, keep going.
W6DQ, which I wrote down incorrectly as DC, by handwriting. W6DQ, Dennis. N4DLA, Matthew. WA6LJQ, I'm sure I got his call sign right, Bill. And K2RP, Ron.
Okay. Got those.
Here are the next batch. K7EZ, that's Roger. Brian, who didn't have a chance to say anything because we stopped before we got to him, but he's a patient guy, NI6Q. After NI6Q is K6LGL, Skip. And WA6JGR, I think I got that right, but I'm not sure. John, you got it?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, the last three, and I didn't put my name on the list because, quite frankly, why'd you put me number two? I'm sorry to do this to you, but squeezed me in the top five, and I totally forgot to put my name on the list. So after LJR is WA9JIB, Bob, K6 Indiana Jones, I think you know his name, and W6YEC George. And that's the list as I have it.
Okay. I think I got most of that. So let me just finish typing in a few. Let's see. Yeah, that's close enough. Okay, well, good evening. Thank you, John. Well, before we go any further, anybody else want to get on this list?
Kilo Whiskey 1, November Golf.
Okay. KW1, November Golf. And let's see if I have your name here. I should have it, and I've forgotten it. Go ahead.
That's Ken, Kilo Echo November.
Okay, Ken, good evening. Got it. All right, anybody else want to get on the list for the Vintage SSB Roundtable? All right, well, it's a good list. So let me grab the preamble here. All right, well, I'll finish typing that later. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Vintage SSB Roundtable. This is Rocco, N6CAN, in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. I'm the host this evening. And sadly, I'm running modern equipment because not only did my KWM2A croak, my 30L1 croaked. It's like, what? All right, so anyway, I gave up. So you'll have to deal with it. We meet every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific time with an informal gathering at 6:30 for early check-ins. We meet on 3895 plus or minus, sometimes 3892. To check into this roundtable, you must be using a radio that was manufactured in or before 1980 or be homebrewed with equivalent technology. Transistor tube or hybrid radios are welcome, as long as they were manufactured in 1980 or before. But if you are a first-time check-in, you can use a modern radio. For the purpose of inquiring about joining this group and obtaining a vintage radio, and this group is a terrific place for finding and repairing vintage equipment. Truly is. Trust me. Let's see. We have website at groups.io/G/vintage SSB. And there's a lot of interesting things on that groups.io site. So if you want information on that, contact Mike, K6ZSR. And we also host a live video simulcast via Zoom. And if you're interested in that, contact Dennis, W6TQ. We recommend that you consider using KFS, the web SDR, on your computer, because you'll hear probably stations you can't hear any other way, especially if conditions are bad. We also have the question of the evening, and I'll get to that in a minute. At the end of each roundtable, there's a Golden Cup Award that is given if you have a terrific answer to the question. All right, before we get going here, are there any announcements only of interest to vintage SSB radio topics? Go now. Okay. Any other stations want to get on the list? Go now.
NY6L Hesperia.
Hello, Jay. NY6L. Got you. Anybody else trying to get in here? Go ahead. Alrighty. So, here we go. The question of the evening is one that I have been recently asked this question, and I didn't know what to tell this guy. It's a newbie. Heard about DX on 10 meters. He's in an HOA. How many times have we heard this? And he has a 30-foot tree in the back. It's not a big yard. And, of course, there's limits on what it looks like. So he can probably squeak in something small, but nothing big. All right. And the other thing is, if it can work other bands, that's great. And if you have something to share about you using your vintage SSB equipment on 10 meters recently, tell us about it. I'd be very interested. You know, like, well, I tried it on 10 and it had parasitics and I blew the finals. Now, I know nobody's going to say that, but, you know, you might tell us about your experiences up there. There's been some terrific DX. All right, let's get going with the first four. KB7LOQ, Art, please give it to Chuck, N6AF. Chuck, give it to DJ, K6RCL. And DJ, please give it to Vaughn, K6ZTA. And I'll put KOI as part of the next group. Go ahead, Art.
Yeah, N6KN, this is KB7LOQ, still here at my Elmer's, K7VZP in Sun City. We're working on radios and just having fun every day. Hi. I'm on TS-820 Kenwood tonight. It's just a handheld mic. I picked up this rig from Mark, NU6X, along with several other pieces last week, and enjoying working on them, fixing them up, and everybody sounds great tonight. Regarding the question, when I was a novice, I put a CB antenna on top the roof on my roof air conditioner. It was flat and really cheap coaxial cable, and I worked the world with that. Secondly, describing that backyard, I would set up a 10-meter dipole
facing whatever direction the guy wanted to work. And with a 30-foot tree and a house there, I'd be pretty easy to set up something stealth. So those are my two suggestions. I worked a guy on the 820. I can't remember where he was, maybe Canada or something, on 10 meters with this rig, and this rig works fine. I'm very grateful to Mark, and he's very kind and generous and a fun guy. And if I thought I had too many radios, like I said last week, after being at Mark's house, I don't feel bad at all. N6AF, KB7LOQ.
All right, thanks. N6AF. Muting the suggested KFS. Good evening from Emerald Hills, Redwood City. Chuck here, and I'm on the usual 1963 KWM2, running it through a homebrew solid-state amp, running about 350 out to an inverted V at 35 feet. So on the 10-meter stuff, what popped into my mind was my first beam antenna that I built. It was actually on 15 meters, a two-element quad using bamboo poles as spreaders. And so on 10 meters, that would even be more of a manageable size. And actually, I think I did have that size to 10 meters at one point. And it was light enough that I turned it with a typical, Allied radio or Radio Shack rotator, and that was pretty amazing. That really opened up 10 and 15 meters. So that's a little bit more involved, but it's a little bit more of a compact form, and I believe I've read that it's not influenced by the proximity to ground as much as a regular Yagi. So maybe that's why it worked out for me. On the 10-meter operation, about a week ago I got on there with my TS590 SG and SB220. I was running about, it looks like 300 watts out. I have a 4-element tri-bander, and I worked... First, I worked a guy in Minnesota, and every transmission ended with A, and that was very cool. And then I talked to the city of Castro, Chilo, down in Chile, to say it as the Latinos would say it. So that was, everything was 5.9. And then spun the beam over to the northwest and hammered Yokohama City, and that's it. So just some really neat contacts. It's fun when the upper bands open up because usually the noise is quite low. All right, so onward to Dennis, K6RCL. I always think of a damp sinusoid for some reason when I read that suffix, Dennis. K6RCL, N6AF.
Yeah, N6AF K6RCL. Well, good evening to one and all there. DJ here in the booming metropolis of Goleta. 10 meters. Well, wow. I'm working on an HRO 500, and I've got a few problems with the synthesizer, but 10 meters is working well. And 40 meters is working well. The other bands aren't working too well. So we're still replacing components. We've had a lot of bad electrolytics, and we've got like 22 ohm resistors that are 276 ohm and things like that. So I'm just about ready to change the 5 volt Zener into a LM217 and 5 volts and run it direct that way, because the VFO is a little bit flaky if you change your DC voltage on it. I'm running off at 12. It is working on 120, but I like 12 volts. It's an interesting radio. It's way ahead of its time, but we'll get it going here eventually. But if anybody has worked on HO 500, I would appreciate any input from you. I'm good in ARRL, K6RCL, ARRL email. So with that, I won't take it. Got a long list here. Thank you, Rocco, for taking the list, and John for taking the early. And everybody have a great evening. K6ZTA, Vaughn. I think I got it right. K6RCL.
Okay, K6RCL. Yeah, K6ZTA. Yeah, you got it right there, DJ. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks, John, KOI, for taking the earlies, and Rocco for you taking the helm here. Running the 100V here, driving the SB220, and I've got it cranked up to peaking about, peaking about 800 watts. And the antennas and inverted V hanging off the tower. And the microphone is a 10D, a static 10D. All right. So for the question of the evening, I'll keep it short. I would recommend not running much power, because you don't need much power on 10 meters, and running a very, very fine wire, running up one end of it up in the tree and the other end of it down low, and build a sloper. That would probably work pretty well. And you can get one end of it up, 45. So if the sloper's at 45 degrees, that might not be so bad an antenna. So, and 10 meters being a fairly short wavelength, you don't have to use all of the distance between the tree and the house for the whole. That's too long. I assume he said, what did he say? Somebody said 45 feet from the house to the. That's not too low. I mean, that's not a lot. But anyway, that's my thing. Okay, Rocco, back over to you, and thanks. N6KN, K6ZTA.
Okay, Vaughn. Yeah, it's backyard is about 20 by 40, and the tree's kind of in the back to the side. So, yeah, he's looking for something, and he really wants to work DX, and yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's a lot easier on 10 than it is on 80. All right, John, K6KOI, give it to Mike, W7MS. Mike, please give it to Max, KG6HN, and next he will give it to Jeff, KK6IRZ. Go ahead, John.
Okay, thank you very much, K6KOI. Well, I really like Vaughn's idea. First of all, I'm running a KWM2A, also like Chuck's, probably about 1963 vintage and a 3001. But I really like Vaughn's idea, and particularly because he mentioned a maybe 28 gauge or whatever, but some very thin wire because of the HOA. But the other thought that came to my mind was a vertical. He wants to work DX, and a vertical can easily be converted to a little flagpole just in case there are complaints. And there actually is protection in our civil code for people that want to put up flagpoles and flags. So there you have it. And with that, I will turn it over to W7MS. This is K6KOI.
Well, thank you, John. K6KOI, W7MS, Mike in Reno. Currently running a Collins S line, 32S3A receiver.
No, 32S3A transmitter, excuse me, 75S3C receiver, and a 30S1, I guess circa early 1970s vintage. And for the question of the evening, I'm going to agree with Vaughn. That was my best antenna, and that's based on the question and the tree and the lot, not speculating other than the legal loophole for a flagpole antenna. Good job, John, on that description. But I would go with a coax-fed sloper, and depending on the layout of the tree, you can orientate the direction of the sloper in your preferred direction, or possibly shift it around for a little extra directivity and exclusivity as far as direction. So that is my recommendation based on the parameters of the question of the evening. So with that, over to Max, KJ6HN, W7MS.
All right, good transmission. Mike up in Reno. So let's see, what's going on here tonight? It's about 40 degrees. We're hitting a warming spell, if you can believe that, here in Darwin. Probably won't get down to freezing tonight. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I always check the minimum and maximum temperatures on my weather station when I get up in the morning, which is usually around 9 o'clock or so, 9:30. So there's that. And as to the question, well, here's what I've always done. I've always made my own antennas out of flex weave antenna wire, 12 gauge preferred, and I've always had good success. So as far as the question goes, living in an HOA community, a 20 by 40 foot backyard with a 30-foot tree at the rear of the property, etc., I would suggest a homemade dipole, and pointed, as somebody else said, in the area in which he would want to work, or she would want to work, and then just start listening and transmitting, see what happens. That's what I would do. If that was on me, that's what I would do. 10 meter DX, yes, I have gotten my vintage SSB station on 10 meters in the last couple of months, and it's been hot and cold, but when it's hot, it's really hot. I gotta say, really hot. And when it's cold, it's really cold. So anyway, I've worked 10 meter DX, and it's been a lot of fun. It performs well. So let's see, over to let me look at my log sheet here. I think it goes back to you, Rocco. N6KN, KJ6HN in the group.
Yeah, we've got one other here in this group, KK6IRZ. Jeff, take one and then give it back to N6KN. Anybody hearing him?
I'm not hearing him, but I'm going to back out. I've got company over at my house. Goodbye, everybody. 73.
And who was that?
KJ6HN.
Oh, that's you, Max. Okay. Okay, good evening. Thank you for your answer. It's a good one. I like that one. Won't blow down in the wind either. Okay, next four. N6WHK. Phil, you give it to W6DQ. Dennis, please give it to Matthew, N4DLA, and Matthew hand it to WA6LJQ. Bill. Okay, N6WHK, take it away.
Thank you very much. November 6th, Whiskey Hotel Kilo picking it up. As far as the 10 meters goes, when the last cycle, I just got my ticket, and my folks lived in a wooden house. And the wife and I just come back from Europe. So the beautiful wooden house, and they still own it. I got up in the top of the house and in the attic, and I'd run wires in the attic, and I think the wires are probably still there. And that's what I was using during the last cycle, is wires in the attic, and it was working very well. I'd worked a lot of stations on 10 meters, and a lot of fun doing it. And I was always surprised how well inside of a building the wires worked. I don't know if you can do it on the modern houses or not, because they're got a lot of wire in the configuration of building them. They're kind of a concrete construction with wire holding everything in place. So you're kind of like in a Faraday cage. But with the old wooden house, it worked beautiful. And I haven't really worked too much on the this rig on 10 meters. I kind of keep it on this band because the readout doesn't work right. Right now it's reading 093955, which part of that's right, but all of it isn't. So I kind of don't mess with this rig too much. It's Swan 350 Delta. And I'm running an inverted V at about 60 feet. So with that, what I'm doing here. W6DQ, all yours, my friend. November 6th, Whiskey Hotel Kilo.
Okay, Phil, thank you. N6WHK in the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable. W6DQ here, Dennis and Inyokern, and currently about 51 degrees here. It's been a nice day today, and we're on a new rig tonight. It's been sitting here for a while, but we got it going this week, and looking for maybe some critical review of the audio quality. I noticed earlier I was hitting it a little bit too hard, and I was getting a little bit of splatter. It's a little cleaner now. I'm watching it on KFS just to see what's going on there. And we're peaking around, looks like we're peaking around 500 watts out. Using an SB303 and an SB401 receiver transmitter pair with a 30L1 amplifier. And Rocco, I feel your pain. I had my other 30L1 sitting here that I was using earlier today. I had it working last week, and that amplifier decided to stop working today. So I switched out the one I had sitting on the shelf, and it seems to be working okay now. I'm not hitting it that hard, so it's pretty good. And this transmitter and the transmitter receiver, I picked these up, John, at your place at the barbecue from Brian, W6BRY. And the transmitter didn't have any crystals in it. And it's been sitting here, and I've been thinking, I got to thinking about it. I got a junk Hot Water 101 sitting on the shelf that's just a parts radio that's been hacked. And it's got a full set of crystals in it. Son of a gun. So I got this thing working this week, and I'm pretty happy about that. So we're on the air with it. Well, Rocco, good question on the antenna. There's a couple of things that I was thinking of, and everybody's been kind of hitting on some of them, you know, like a sloper. You could even do a vertical hanging from the tree, a 30-foot tree. That would give you a good size for a vertical, and you could lay some radials down in that backyard. You know, you won't have a huge amount of radial lengthwise, but you could put down some radials in the backyard, probably not knowing what's there. But hanging a vertical in the tree with a, maybe some base loading or something on it to tune it, maybe a remote tuner at the base, like, what is it, an AH4 ICOM type thing, one of those guys. Something like that might work nicely. I've done that before with the AH4 and a 30-foot wire. Just hanging from a pole, and that's worked really well for me when I've been running portable, so that might be a decent way to do it. And unfortunately, I haven't been putting any of the vintage gear on 10 meters. I've been spending time on 10 meters with the new gear, the modern stuff like the Flex and what have you. Had some really nice QSOs up there. The conditions on 10 and really some of the other bands have just been spectacular lately. So I had a nice QSO with, I'm trying to remember his call, 5H3 FM in Tanzania yesterday on sideband, and just chatting along. It was really cool. So it's amazing. Yeah, this solar cycle is turning out pretty good, so I was pretty happy with that yesterday. That was a nice thing to have in the log. Anyway, thanks for hosting this evening, Rocco. You're sounding good down here and in Yokern, and Lisa's not here tonight. She had a rough day today. It's their she works in finance, and it's month end. They're trying to close out the books for the month of November, and they're really short-handed, so she's got a really massive load on her with doing that work. So I let her go tonight. She's resting up, so that's why she's not here this evening. So anyway, and so Rocco, thank you for hosting, and John, thank you for taking the earlies. Everything's sounding good. Conditions are really nice tonight. Band's quiet, hearing everybody really well. So with that, it's going to go over to Matthew, N4DLA from W6DQ for the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. W6DQ and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable. From N4DLA, Matthew in Orinda, California, about 15 miles east of San Francisco, using an Atlas 210X from about 1977. Shure 444 microphone, straight BDP. Coaxial, 75-meter coaxial dipole sloping down from 60 feet. And Dennis, the SB401 sounds great. I don't know what mic you're using, but great to hear some old Keys-Kit equipment back on the air. They were very, very common when I was first licensed on the air, working them on the air. Reference the antenna suggestions. A lot have already been made. The flagpole antenna under the Freedom to Fly the U.S. Flag Act of 2005. It is against federal law for an HOA to prohibit display of the American flag. But also a vertical dipole hanging off the tree would be good. If somebody asks about it, you could say it's for bird watching, or a sloping dipole. It's for birds to hang on, or other animals to climb on. It's a wildlife experiment there. And getting vintage gear on 10 meters, I have not had the 210X on 10 meters. Lately, I've used my vintage 1989 realistic HDX10, which works only on upper sideband and CW, either 25 watts or 5 watts. And I've regularly worked Japan with it. And also QRP CW into Manitoba. It was new in the box, sat in the box for over 30 years, according to the person I bought it from. So I made a YouTube video about it. One of these days I'll get it uploaded. So anyway, thanks K6KY John for taking the earlies. Oh, and Brian NI6Q, you real 5.9 plus out here in Northern California. And thanks for running the net, Rocco. So over to Bill, WA6LJQ, and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable from N4DLA.
I believe that's WA6LJR, Bill in Pismo Beach.
This is WA6LJR, Pismo Beach, about 55 degrees, barefoot, have a V-22 flying over my house right now, so I'm going to get off the air so I don't make it crash. WA6LJR, I think it's back to N6KN.
Okay, and did I get the name right, Bill?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, I think I've got you twice on this list, Bill. Good evening. All right. Well, we've got some very nefarious personalities coming up. K2RP. Ron, you give it to K7EZ. Roger, please give it to Brian, NI6Q. And then, Brian, if you would hand it to Skip, K6LJL. K2RP, how the heck are you? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm here. That's all I can say. We're on K2RP, just north of San Diego. First thing I would say is, Thanks to John for taking the earlies, Rocco for taking the net, and we're on the BMW 6100 and the 75A4 receiver. I hope I'm close enough so everybody can copy here. The question of the day, I've never been on 10 meters all that much, and on top of that, I haven't been too involved with vertical antennas. I had bad experiences with one years ago, never went to it. But when cleaning out somebody's estate, we had a 5 BTV 80 to 10 meter vertical, and I decided to put it up mostly for 10 and 15 meters because of the low angle of radiation. And it has been remarkable. Just recently, I was in the sweepstakes contest in the CQ Worldwide DX. Not competitively, but I put in a few hours on each one. And on the sweepstakes, CW, I used my little Daegu QRP ring and probably did maybe 30 or so contacts with just on 10 meters, and it worked out remarkably well. We set it up in the backyard, ground mounted, tied to a pole in the patio cover. It's almost invisible. The radios, it only requires 2 radios per band. I have radios for 40, 20, 15, and 10. I don't use it much on 40, but on 20, 15, and 10, it's really remarkable. It's on the DX contest, I worked all over the world on 10 meters into Europe, into, of course, the Pacific, Hawaii, and Japan by the dozen, and even the Philippines, I think, on 10 meters. And it was really a pleasant surprise, a very nice antenna, and it's very inconspicuous. It gets very narrow at the top, and I don't think anybody would give them a hard time for it. As far as using the vintage equipment on 10 meters, I really haven't. I have also an SP303 and 401, like Dennis has. And when it was new, I built it in 1970. I've had it all these years, and I used to use it on 10 and 15 at that time, but once the regular vintage rigs, I really haven't. So anyway, thanks for taking it. I hope I'm close enough on frequency. And we'll turn it over to K7EZ, pick it up, K2RP.
On business line, K2RP, this is K7EZ, and big copy there. A few stations there. I'm running my Tentec Scout. It's a model 555. I've used it on 10 meters recently, and made a contact or two on CW and sideband running 5 watts. So been very happy with the 10 meter opening. My recommendation for an antenna, I agree with the sloper, or possibly a end-bed half-wave. If you can get more wire out, make it longer and work some of the lower bands. But that would be a good alternative to just a single band dipole. But I don't have much else here. I'm glad I hung in here to listen to everybody. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm going to turn it over there to you, Brian. And I6Q. This is K7EZ.
Low battery. Yeah, K7EZ and the group and I6Q here returning. Yeah, the audio was chopped up, not very good, hardly understandable there. But anyway, we got the essential there. Brian here in Flagstaff, Arizona, where it's 32 degrees presently. Very nice day today. Tomorrow it's supposed to be about the same or better. I'm running the 75A4 receiver and 6100 Parker and Williamson transmitter, so it makes two of us tonight with K2RP, which is really cool. Not too many of those rigs are on, and it's too bad because it's really the works. So I'm also using a 30S1 linear for about 1,000 watts out or something like that, and a dipole antenna. Actually, it's a doublet, but it acts like a doublet on this frequency. When it comes to antenna, I would definitely put a, for 10 meters, there's ample space to put a dipole, vertical dipole, as high as possible, you know, with the dimensions we have, 30 feet, that's plenty. So regular dipole, vertical configuration, and that's what I would be using on 10 meters if I had to be active with that configuration. So that's that. Dennis, DQ, the quality of your audio is very good. It's very crisp. Not a lot of lows, but it's really your voice, so no complaints here. It works very well. And vintage radio on 10, yes, I have been using this installation with the 6100 and 75A4 on 10 with a lot of pleasure. And also the Geloso AM installation on 10 meters AM with, I don't know, maybe not too many, but maybe 15, 17 contacts around 29 megahertz there. So that's what I wanted to say. I'll pass it over to K6LGL for the Vintage Sideman Roundtable. Rocco, thank you for hosting tonight, and John, thanks for the earlies. And I6Q here.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And I6Q and the Vintage Roundtable group. K6 little green lights skipping Santa Monica by the bay. Very good. Thanks to you, earlies there, John, KY, and Rocco for being the master of ceremony. My 10-meter activity goes back probably to cycle 23, going to cycle 24. At that time, I was using a 4-element white-spaced homebrew beam on 10, and used to talk regularly to LY trees there in the Baltics, and an old buddy there in the Hawaiian Islands, K6 Charlie, who used to run generator power there in that part of the island. And these are a couple, and of course the usual compendium of Europeans and the BKZLs, South America, and so on. It was a good peak. But if I were to get on today, and I would recommend just a simple antenna, I go along the Rocco quarter wave. You know, it's about 96 inches, and if possible, put the radios very close by, you know. But easier to build would be probably a half wave and use one of the radios as, you know, the other element. Either one. Especially when you have a 3 triangular beam using small diameter wire. It's easy to work, depending, especially if you're running lower power. But there's no substitute for a good-sized Yagi. Okay, I don't know who gets it next. I think it goes to WA6JUS. but I'll take it back to you, Rocco. Thanks for doing the net. And good evening to all. N6KN and the Roundtable Group, J6LGL.
JUS is here. What was that about JUS?
Sure. Okay, I've been getting ready for an event tomorrow. I turned on the radio, I see you're in the roundtable. So I heard Skip, so I just wanted to say hi, and I heard my call sign there. And I'm on the Galaxy 300. Back to you, WA6JUS.
Okay, JUS, I've forgotten your name. What's the name?
John, Jacqueline Henry Nancy.
Okay. Well, good evening to you. Nice to hear you. I think I got all that right, amazingly. Okay, the next four will be Bob, WA9JIB. Please hand it to Brian, K6 Indiana Jones. Brian, give it to George, W6YEC. And George, please give it to Ken, KW1NG. And we'll add one more to this group. Ken, please hand it to Jay, NY6L. Okay? WA9JIB. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, Rocco, N6KN in the group, WA9JIB, Bob here in La Cañada, where it was pretty warm yesterday and today. I even got the windows open right now. Not all the way, but warm enough to have them open, so how about that? I think a couple more warm days on the way, too. It's pretty nice. Comment to Dennis, your heat kit sounds very good, audio-wise. It even sounded good before you backed off on it, but I don't know how much spectrum you were taking. I don't have a scope. But it did not sound distorted, and so you lost a little volume, but still sounds perfectly good. So anyway, just wanted to pass along the signal report you requested. Tonight I'm running my helicopter station, though I started with the MC50 microphone into my H232B and SX115 that came from Rocco. Should have kept them, Rocco. They're working. Not like that Collins stuff. Oh, I had to get that in. Let's see, and my antenna is a 80-meter dipole hanging off a 35-foot mast inverted V. Okay, as far as the question goes, 20 by 40 feet is plenty of room to have certainly a 10-meter dipole, which is halfway, 5 meters, 15 feet. And especially if you inverted V it, it's going to take even less yard space. So you could either do it as a vertical dipole hanging in the palm tree, which is 30 feet tall, but then you got the coax coming out at a right angle, which is going to probably attract some attention. Or, you could just see if you can get by with the eyesore factor. But there's no problem fitting it in that yard. I would also recommend a trap dipole like I use on the higher bands for 40, 20, 15, and 10. My trap dipole is 20 meters inside the trap, so that's 33 feet. And you think 66 up for full length, but of course it's a trap, I don't remember, it's probably about 50 feet, which inverted V would still fit on a 40-foot lawn with an apex at 30 feet. So there's a lot of options there. I guess vertical dipole has been mentioned. Vertical has been mentioned. I mentioned the vertical dipole might have been mentioned also. Trap dipole. The other thing is, my first antenna when I got started again here, about 10 or 12 years ago, was an 80-meter dipole that I installed under the eaves of my house. I have a one-story ranch house. The main beam, the structural beam at the peak of the roof comes out, and I didn't even drill any holes at that time. I just attached an insulating plate I made out of fiberboard with bungee cords around that, and I ran the wires out under the eaves. And of course, after a certain point, I ran out of house, so then they had to go out to be tied off in a tree and fence. But a 10-meter dipole could be put totally under the eaves of the house. And surprisingly, I got out pretty good that way. And I had a very low very classic SWR curve, even on 80 meters, 2 to 1 at 3.5 and 4.0. Amazing. So my being so next to the house helped it look like a 50 ohm load. Absorbed some radiation, but I still got out. And of course, when I put my antenna up on my 35-foot mast, I have more signal, but much higher Q. On 10 meters, that won't matter. So I would think that, given conditions, a 10-meter dipole under the eaves of the house would probably get out and even get some DX. Maybe you won't be breaking pile-ups to a rear station, but be working all over the world to lots of places anyway. So, but one final thing, speaking of 10 meters, I have been working the contest recently, CQ Worldwide contests, with my FT101E, lots of 10-meter contests, QSOs, and just along those lines, I believe this weekend is the ARRL 10-meter contest. So if anybody hasn't been on 10 and looking for an opportunity, I need to confirm that. You think it's usually the second full weekend in December. I think it'll be a lot of fun on 10 meters this weekend. So with that, I'll pass it along to Kilowatt 6 Indiana Jones from WA9JIB.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Bob. This is K6IJ Brian up in Valley Springs, California. And man, I'm happy to be here. I don't get on too often, but it's really nice to hear everybody tonight. Hope I'm not too far off frequency. First off, Dennis, man, that's great that you got the 401 working. It's sounding great here. I've got, I can reach probably 2 more sets from where I'm sitting, so if you need some more, let me know. And let's see, I'm running a KWM2A round emblem that I picked up in San Diego a couple months ago, and just gave it a quick tune-up, and running a 30S1 amplifier that I've put countless hours of work into this 30S1 and just got it working this over the weekend. It's got a Peter Dahl transformer in it and a bunch of rebuilt the relay tray, and just did a whole bunch of stuff to it. And I'm using a D104 non-amplified mic, and antenna is just a dipole and on the side of my tower. So anyhow, let's see, on the antenna question thing, I think my best suggestion would be to move. I live out in the country. I used to live in a HOA, and if that's even possibly an option, I think you'll have a whole lot more fun. And so that's what I would suggest. But I have, back in the day, I remember going to my parents' house with my TS-120 that my grandfather gave me, and I strung up a 10-meter dipole on their patio cover, and it was during the around 1990, 92, I think, and man, I worked all kinds of DX in a contest. I'd never done it before, and I just had a great time. So I'm pretty sure anything will work for the next couple of years at least. So that's all I got to say. Thanks to John and Rocco for taking care of us, and I'll pass it over to George, WA6YEC from K6IJ.
All right, very good. It's W6YEC. Thank you very much. And I've been distracted here this evening, and so I'm not even sure what the question is. I know something about 10 meters. At any rate, do our best at it here. Thanks for picking us up, Rocco. We're using, modern gear here. I was working on my remote setup and had to get that finished up this evening. And so we got a new server we built for it. So forgive me for coming in with the modern gear, but it gives me a good chance to check it out. I trust it's working okay. So we're running the ICOM 7300, driving it, like I said, through remote from the house here, operating the rig down in the shack. And on 10 meters, we use a tri-bander. We have it up about 47 feet. Been having fun when we've gotten on 10. Most of the time I hang out on 17 meters, but 10 meters is a lot of fun. And we can work all over with the tri-bander, of course. And we've got 3 antennas to choose from, and different frequencies because we've got the tri-bander up there, so that gives us 3 frequencies. But I've got Dow key relays that are put together to switch the antennas for this remote setup. So I use a G5RV for like 17 meters and 12 meters, and then the tri-bander for 20, 15, and 10, and then the G5RV for 40, and this loop that I'm on tonight, the full wave loop up about 40 feet, we use that for 75 meters. So anyway, I don't know if that fell within the range of the question or not, Rocco. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to give it to. Maybe it's back to you. Back to you, Rocco, W6YEC.
Yeah, fine, George. It goes to KW1NG. Ken, take it, and you give it to NY6L.
Very good. Good to hear you, George. Thank you much. Appreciate the running the net tonight, Rocco, and John did a good job with the pre-net. Thank you. We're running the 75S3C 32S3 Collins with the 30L1 amp and a Shure 444 and a 85-foot inverted L with a 9-to-1 ballon at the bottom of it. The question is intriguing because I've been thinking about several kinds of HOA antennas, and the one that comes to mind that I want to try, and I'm going to buy the parts and build one, would be a 10-meter hex beam built into a wooden, 11-foot diameter wooden patio umbrella, and it's the right diameter for 10, and I think 12 meters could fit in it also, and then maybe put a loaded antenna, a loaded hex beam. I don't know how well that works, but I've read that a low hex beam works really well. People have put YouTube videos out with the hex beam about 6 feet off the ground, and it works great, and they get lots of DX with it. So that's a unique thing that I would be interested in trying. The other thing is with your 30-foot height, you could easily put a 5/8 wave vertical for 10 meters in the tree and give you lots of low angle gain, and that's about 21 and a half feet, and just a couple of radials, hidden around would do the job. So when I was a kid, first going to junior college, I had a 63 pickup, and I had a CB whip on it, and I fed that into a Ten-Tech Argonaut, a 5-watt sideband rig from Ten-Tech, the little Argonaut. And man, I worked 10 meters all over the place with that. So that's another option, is you could put a CB whip on a vehicle out in front and run a coax to it and use that. But anyway, those are some thoughts I had. All right, that's about it for me. I will pass it on to Jay, NY6L, KW1NG.
Okay, very good. Boy, booming signal. Pretty much everybody here. NY6L, Jay here in Hesperia, running a Atlas 210X barefoot here, putting in some new finals and replacing a transistor array IC chip, or you call it an IC chip, but anyway, I'd like to get some signal and audio reports too, if anybody wants to. And, antenna. I would probably try, let's see here, maybe making a 10-meter J-pole, maybe out of twin lead or something equivalent to that, something kind of semi-stealthy, kind of like that. Give that a shot. Sounds like probably an idea. And let's see, vintage 10-meter gear. Well, yes. I used a DX Handy made for AEA by Matsuo out of Japan, 2 watts PEP, and I made one contact on 10 meters with 2 watts PEP. I used the steel fence out in the front yard as a ground plane, and it worked. So, battery powered, running off of AA batteries, and made a contact. thought that was really cool. It's just 2 watts from up here in the high desert. So that's my story, and I'll stick to it. Rocco, back there to you. Thank you for ending the net. N6KN, NY6L, Hysteria.
Okay. Everybody. Well, before I go any further, anybody else trying to get in here? All right. So I'll tell my own story very quickly. This would have been about 1980 or 81. My wife and I drove out to a party in the valley, and I had my Hustler 10-meter whip on the back of the... Where did I have that? I think I had it on the fender. Anyway, I had a radio in the car. Might have been my TS520. And we were out there, and the host inquired about the antenna on my car, and I took him out there and tuned around and heard, some U.S. stations and some JAs. Then I heard down in CW band a UA0, and I said, "That's Siberia." And he looked at me and said, "No, it's not." I said, "Yes, it is. It's a UA0. They never believed me. They absolutely flat out thought I was putting one on. And of course, it was absolutely true. All right. So, such great answers. Man, oh man. Did I ask the right group a question like that? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to award the Golden Cup Award, and it was a lot of competition here because Ken, KW1NG, you came up with something I've never seen anybody try, but I think it would work really well. Your 10-meter hex beam made to look like a patio umbrella. Yeah, I love that idea. Ken, you deserve lots of credit for that one. I can't wait for you to do it. Go ahead.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I've been racking my brain. I work 2 jobs right now. I'm 69, and I want to retire one of these years. So I'm thinking about stuff I could make, and sell when I retire, because I will be bored, I'm sure. I design electronics equipment for a living, and I have all my life. And so something like that would be interesting to put on the market. But anyway, none of you please spill the beans on that, because I'd like exclusivity on it. But very good. Yeah, I want to get it. You can buy an 11-foot wooden patio umbrella on Amazon, about $150, and then you could string the hex beam elements inside of it. So I haven't done it yet, but I am going to try it. Well, thank you very much for the award this evening. I appreciate that. Rocco, go ahead. N6KN, KW1NG.
Yeah, I think I'd string them around the periphery and maybe separate them a little from the wood on the fabric in case it gets damp. You might set the thing on fire. But God, what a great idea. Ken, if you try that and it works, we want to hear about it. Okay, inquiring minds. All right, folks, that was a good one. See y'all later. Thanks, John, for taking the earlies. Adios. N6KN is clear and leaving the frequency for anybody to use as they wish.